Alright, so now I've got this all hooked up, and I'm going to be feeding it a signal into the radio so we can troubleshoot that problem with the multiplex light not coming on and not receiving stereo. Hang on just a second. Alright. Alright, so I've got a signal there. Let's go back to FM. And I've got it at 98.5. It's the only blank spot on our dial here in San Diego. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check alignment. And so what I'm going to do is first make sure the detector's okay. And that's done by turning the signal way down until we start to see garbage. And then what you do is you tune for symmetrical garbage. You see in one direction we get the top half. You see in the bottom direction we get, or the other direction we get the bottom half. So you want to get your happy medium between the two. And that's technically the center of tune there. And then double check that your meter reads the same, which it does. So we don't really need to mess with the detector alignment so much. Okay, so what I have here is a Soundtech 1000A, which is really handy in troubleshooting these things. We're going to feed it a big fat signal. And that should be a binaural signal. This should be right channel only. But all it does is decrease the amplitude. So the stereo multiplex is not running. So the first thing we have to do is we have to figure out if the 19 kilohertz pilot signal is getting there. And the way that we can do that on the Soundtech is, right now it's at 100%. If I crank it up, it does not trigger the multiplex. So now what I have to do is take my oscilloscope probe, and what I'm going to do is take a look, assuming I can get it untangled from the mess here. Let's look at our input, and as you can see on top of the 1K signal, let's get rid of that, make it a little bit easier to see. I'm going to turn off the internal oscillator, and so I've got 19K coming in, and I can verify that it's the 19K. I clip on with the oscilloscope and then vary the pilot signal. You can see that it goes up and down here. So we're getting input to the multiplexer. So then what let's do, usually the way that these work is they have a 19 kilohertz and then they go through a doubler, which is probably this diode stack here, and then an amplifier, and then you've got a matrix output which demodulates the two signals. So usually what we can do here is come over to one of these amplifier stages, and we can see that's the signal going in, and let's see what it looks like coming out. Let's see if I can, it looks like it's pretty big actually. If we turn down the sensitivity a little. Well, maybe not. Let's see here. If I can get it in the right spot. Of course, now I'm not getting anything. What just happened here? Okay, that's going in. That's not doing much. And let's check our, sorry if I'm moving things around here. There's not much of anything going to that second stage there. Of course, am I just bumping things and tuning off signal here? Yeah, I think I was just off. I was moving the tuner flywheel There's our big signal. Yeah, that's huge. That's like 15 times as big as the input signal. Tiny little input signal, big fat output signal. Okay, so that stage is clear. And then let's see. Let's go to this secondary stage here. Still nothing. Let's go to the doubler, output of the 19 kilohertz doubler here. Not doing squat. Alright, so something is very wrong here in this doubler stage. We're not getting any 19K operation at all. Usually it would just be garbage or poor separation, but we're not getting squat. So what we have to do is determine if there's some component here, since it's all frequency derived, that's not letting bandwidth through. Because no matter where we put the pilot signal, it's just not right. And sometimes you can tweak the separation control and that will change things, but doesn't look like that's going to happen there. Oh, there we go. That's touchy. Interesting. Okay, well that's a little bit better. Now let's see if it corresponds here. Yeah, it does. Okay, so that potentiometer there for the separation control, that was really dirty. If we work that a little bit, maybe we can actually get an alignment out of it. So let's just work it back and forth. All that's doing is adjusting the phase control for the 38 kilohertz demodulation. And let's see if we can minimize distortion. Okay, so now what we can do, since we've got some remnant of operation here, although not great, let's go through the alignment procedure. And the first thing I do is adjust the 19 kilohertz transformer to peak the signal. That will usually be noted by the amplitude and symmetrical clipping of the waveform. You can see if it's tuned off, the waveform it's trying to cancel out gets distorted. That's close to being symmetrical. And let's go to our doubler output and see if we can adjust that. Still not great. And let's go to our 38 kilohertz output. I don't think it's properly rectifying the signal. We've got one half that's being rectified and the other half that's still there, just lesser amplitude and out of phase. That's usually a sign of bad capacitors. So I'm going to test the caps in the multiplexer and then we'll check it again. Okay, well I did find one bad output capacitor, but that's the output capacitor. That doesn't really affect how the machine behaves as far as its ability to decode stereo. And really, the amount of time it's going to take me to troubleshoot this one and figure it out is probably going to put them over budget. So what I'm going to do is just tweak it so that it has good operation at least. Get it as close as we can to good operation. And we'll try to minimize the distortion, peak everything out. So it is, in fact, decoding. It's just not decoding great. The right decodes better than the left. Let's see if we can kind of tweak it for the left here. But something's definitely wrong here. And when I'm tweaking while doing the left, let's see, we'll try to minimize the distortion in the channel that's trying to be canceled while still maximizing that waveform that's not being canceled. But I think this is as good as it's going to get without a major repair on the multiplexer. and now right is slightly being favored over left. That could be just part of an error. Yeah, it's just favoring right over left. Very little separation when you do it so that mono is correct. So there's a lot going on here with this set. It's kind of quirky. But I think because it's not properly decoding, that's why we're not seeing the light. Bit of a pain. I can kind of... Let's crank up the pilot a little bit. And let's set separation for midpoint, which doesn't decode squat, really. And my suspect is this amplifier stage here, this isn't working. I mean, we're getting a fat signal at the 19 kilohertz output, but we're not getting enough at the doubler. So really I want to check this and see if this is alive, if this is doing anything, or maybe there's some open resistor or something. I'm going to invest a little more time on it just because I'm curious, but I want to see if I can get this within budget. So let me mess with that a little bit. Okay, we figured it out. Or I figured it out. Ha! What was going on here? First I suspected this transistor here, which is a switching transistor to go between mono and stereo mode. I wasn't getting any amplification here, and I pulled it out and I replaced it just on a whim, but that didn't fix it. But then what I did was I looked at this transistor here, this TR303, which does a number of functions. It's supposed to fire the lamp, and it also switches on the multiplexer. Has to be fairly beefy, and the one that I got in there ain't going to last very long, but it does prove that it works. And I've got full separation now if I switch between right and left. So we're going to put something really beefy in there, like a 2SD 460 or something like that, and then that will finish this guy up. So that's what we need to do. So that'll wrap up the repair video, and I'm really happy the way this turned out, because now everything on it works. And yeah, we could go crazy on the recap and everything, but for now, it works right, and he'll be happy with it, because everything on it functions. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this little mini-series, and more videos to come soon. We still have to get back into the submerged Sansui and a couple of other projects, so you'll see it as I progress on it. Thanks for watching.